Welcome to our roundtable discussion on atheism, a topic that has stimulated minds and stirred debate across cultures and eras. Today, we're diving deep into the complexities of atheism, looking through the lenses of history, science, morality, and more. Joining us are esteemed speakers from various backgrounds. Let's meet them.
As a representative of Judaism, I'm eager to explore atheism from a historical and ethical viewpoint, shedding light on secular humanism and its roots.
Buddhism offers a unique perspective on atheism, particularly in its acceptance of non-theistic philosophies. I look forward to sharing and learning from this discussion.
I appreciate the chance to engage in this meaningful dialogue. Islam provides insightful counters to atheism, and I'm ready to delve into these discussions, especially around the existence of God.
Greetings. Christianity has had a long and complicated relationship with atheism. This roundtable is a wonderful opportunity to discuss these dynamics and the nuances of faith and disbelief.
Hinduism's rich tapestry of belief includes atheistic strands as well. I'm excited to share how this plurality shapes our understanding of the divine and morality.
Each of you brings a wealth of knowledge and a unique perspective. Let's begin by discussing the historical emergence of atheism. Sarah, could you start us off by touching upon atheism in ancient cultures?
Of course, Precious. Atheism, in one form or another, has been present throughout human history. Ancient cultures, including the Greeks and Romans, had their skeptics and materialists who questioned the existence of deities.
While that's a valid point, Sarah, it's also crucial to note how atheism's interpretation has evolved, especially in the context of theistic religions.
Indeed, Ahmad. And within Hinduism, we have seen a philosophical exploration of atheistic ideas, especially in schools like Samkhya.
Buddhism, too, emphasizes personal enlightenment over the worship of deities, offering a perspective where atheism and spirituality can coexist.
A thought-provoking stance, Ananda. However, it's important to discuss the contention atheism has faced, particularly from Abrahamic religions over the centuries.
Excellent points, everyone. It's clear atheism has deep historical roots and has been interpreted in various ways across different cultures and religions. As we delve deeper into our discussion, let's keep in mind the evolving nature of atheism and its relationship with theism. Let's delve into the rich history of atheism. Sarah, can you start us off?
Certainly. Atheism isn't a modern invention. Ancient civilizations, including Greeks and Indians, had atheistic schools of thought. Epicurus, for instance, posited that if gods existed, they were indifferent to humans.
That's a fascinating point, Sarah. However, in the Islamic Golden Age, the concept of atheism was virtually absent. We had a strong focus on theological studies and the natural world, which reinforced our belief in God's presence in everything.
I must highlight, Ahmad, that in Hinduism, particularly in the philosophical schools of Carvaka and Samkhya, there has been a rich tradition of atheistic thought. They question the existence of a deity and emphasize rationality and empirical evidence.
Buddhism, too, has a unique stance. The Buddha focused on the path to enlightenment and suffering cessation, rather than on affirming or denying godly existence. It demonstrates an atheistic or non-theistic undercurrent in our teachings.
Historical interactions between Christianity and atheism have often been challenging. St. Thomas Aquinas went to great lengths to logically prove God's existence. Yet, it's important to acknowledge that the questioning led to deeper theological insights.
It's interesting to see how atheism has evolved distinctly across different traditions. It seems atheism's growth during the Enlightenment further challenged religious and philosophical thoughts.
Precious, that's true. The Enlightenment era indeed democratized the concept of atheism, making it a subject of public discourse rather than limited to scholarly debate.
I still maintain that atheism, as we discuss it, is largely a product of Western philosophical tradition. In many parts of the world, the discourse is much more nuanced, focusing on spirituality rather than the dichotomy of theism and atheism.
Ahmad, your point raises an excellent observation. The Western framework can sometimes obscure understanding other traditions where atheism or non-theism is naturally woven into the spiritual fabric.
This is precisely why our discussion on atheism must acknowledge its varied manifestations across cultures and history. Reducing it to mere disbelief does a disservice to its complex role in human thought.
While I agree on the complexity, it's vital to also note atheism's impact on Christianity. It has often served as a catalyst for deep theological and philosophical engagement with faith.
Clearly, atheism has played a significant and diverse role across cultures and eras. Its interaction with religion has been both confrontational and constructive. Each tradition offers a unique lens through which to view atheism, enriching our understanding. Let's delve into what atheism means. Ahmad, you've been vocal about atheism being more than just disbelief in God. Could you expand on that?
Certainly. To view atheism solely as disbelief is to overlook the rich philosophical underpinnings many atheists subscribe to. Atheism, for some, is not just about rejecting the concept of a deity, but also about embracing a naturalistic worldview that emphasizes human responsibility.
I see your point, Ahmad, and it's well made. From a Jewish perspective, while atheism is fundamentally in disagreement with our beliefs, the emphasis on ethics and responsibility resonates with Jewish ethical teachings. This overlap can't be ignored.
True, Sarah. In Buddhism, while we don't center our practice around a creator god, atheism's philosophical quest for truth through questioning and understanding aligns with the Buddhist path of inquiry.
However, it's important not to conflate the absence of belief with anti-theism. Hinduism accommodates a broad spectrum of beliefs, including those that reject theism, yet we still find common ground in the pursuit of ethical living and spiritual understanding.
I appreciate what you're saying, Priyananda. In Christianity, too, we have engaged with atheistic criticism constructively. It challenges us to articulate our beliefs more clearly. However, equating atheism solely with secular humanism ignores the diversity within atheism. Not all atheists adopt a humanist perspective.
Interesting points from all of you. It seems then that atheism, while centered on disbelief in God or gods, can't be pegged down to a monolithic worldview. Ahmad, earlier you mentioned human responsibility. How does that play into atheistic morality without a divine command?
It's crucial. Atheism often espouses that ethical living and morality are not derived from divine edict, but from a reasoned, empathetic understanding of human nature and needs. This can lead to a robust ethical framework that stands independent of theological mandate.
While that's an admirable stance, Ahmad, it often leads me to wonder about the origin of this reasoned, empathetic understanding. In Judaism, we see the divine laws as a foundation for morality, which provides a sense of stability and continuity.
Sarah, that's an important consideration. From a Hindu perspective, dharma, or moral law, is both universal and individual. It guides ethical decisions while accommodating personal spiritual growth. Atheism's approach to morality through reason and empathy could be seen as parallel to the pursuit of one's personal dharma without attributing it to a divine source.
Exactly, Priyananda. Buddhism similarly finds value in actions and intentions rather than adherence to divine commands. The idea that morality emerges from understanding and compassion rather than fear of divine retribution can be quite liberating and leads to genuine ethical engagement.
There's merit to what you're saying, Ananda, and the discussion highlights the necessity for a dialogue between belief and disbelief. But without acknowledging a divine guide, how does atheism reconcile the subjective nature of morality? Doesn't this risk moral relativism?
That's a poignant question, Elijah. It circles back to the broader challenge of defining atheism as merely a lack of belief. As we've discussed, atheism can intersect with various ethical and philosophical stances. The denial of a deity does not automatically eliminate a moral compass. It merely sources it from humanistic and rationalist principles instead.
Precisely, precious. While the concern of moral relativism is valid, many atheist philosophies counter this by rooting their ethics in the well-being of conscious creatures. This creates a surprisingly solid ground for morality, akin to many religious ethics, but derived from a different source.
It's a testament to the fact that while our paths may diverge regarding belief in God, our goals, promoting ethical living and understanding, often align more than we might assume.
Let's explore atheism within the context of predominantly religious societies. Ananda, Buddhism has a unique perspective. Could you start us off?
Certainly. Buddhism allows space for atheistic thought, especially in its rejection of a creator God. This has fostered a culture where questioning and skepticism are valued. But it's essential to note, even in Buddhist majority countries, atheism can challenge traditional views, pushing against centuries of established norms.
That's an admirable aspect of Buddhism. In contrast, within Judaism, community and tradition hold significant sway. However, there's a growing acknowledgement of secular or cultural Jews who may be atheistic but still deeply identify with Jewish culture and practices.
Islam, much like Judaism, places strong emphasis on community. In predominantly Muslim societies, atheism is often seen as not just disbelief in God, but also a rejection of societal norms. This perspective can lead to serious social repercussions for atheists. However, it's crucial to differentiate between atheism as a personal belief and the perceived challenge it poses to the community.
Christianity has wrestled with atheism, especially in the modern era. It's seen by some as a threat to moral and societal values. Yet this perspective fails to recognize that ethical living isn't exclusive to the religious. I've encountered profound moral insights from atheist perspectives, compelling us to focus more on actions than on doctrinal conformity.
Indeed, Elijah. The assumption that morality is the exclusive domain of the religious is a misconception that atheism challenges effectively. Ananda, back to Buddhism's acceptance of atheism, do you think this makes Buddhist societies more tolerant of atheistic views?
In theory, yes, but practice varies greatly. There's a difference between institutional acceptance and personal belief systems. While the doctrine might accommodate atheism, societal attitudes can still lean towards skepticism and sometimes outright denial of atheistic perspectives.
From a Hindu standpoint, atheism challenges us to contemplate the essence of faith and spirituality beyond the existence of deities. It's not so much a threat, but an invitation to deepen our understanding. However, societal acceptance is a different matter. Traditional views often dominate, making atheism a difficult path.
Interjecting with a compliment to Priyananda, that's a beautifully inclusive viewpoint. I believe, across all our traditions, there's potential for greater acceptance of diverse beliefs, including atheism, which can enrich our understanding of faith and spirituality.
I respect that, Sarah, but let's not overlook the real tensions that exist. Acceptance isn't merely about acknowledging different beliefs, but also about affording them space and rights within our societies. This is where the challenge lies, especially in societies with strong religious foundations.
Ahmad raises an important point. The question isn't just about theological acceptance, but about social and civic space for atheism. How do we, as people of faith, contribute to a society that respects and protects those who disagree with us fundamentally?
These are pivotal questions, highlighting the dual challenge faced by atheism: seeking acknowledgement in the religious domain and striving for equitable societal treatment. Our discussion underscores the complexity of atheism's role in religious societies. Let's continue exploring these aspects as we move forward. Let's move into the territory of morality without deity. Priyananda, your tradition offers a rich perspective on ethics beyond divine command. How do you navigate this?
In Hinduism, dharma, or righteousness, is a complex idea. It's not merely about following a god's command, but understanding and performing one's duties in life. These duties are determined by various factors, including one's stage in life, class, and gender. It's a self-regulated moral path.
That's intriguing because within Judaism, while we have commandments from God, there's also a strong tradition of ethical debate. It's not just about following laws, but interpreting them in the context of justice and fairness.
I appreciate that, Sarah. In Islam, we also have a rich tradition of interpreting divine law, with morality deeply intertwined with faith. However, the idea that morality can exist entirely separately from a deity is a challenging concept for many in our faith.
Precisely, morality influenced by religion does often intersect with secular ethics. I argue from a secular and atheistic viewpoint that morality can be defined and adhered to without any reference to a higher power. It's about human well-being, empathy, and social cooperation.
While I respect your viewpoint, Precious, Christianity teaches us that moral law is written in the heart of every man by God. Without this divine moral lawgiver, how do we account for the universal nature of moral principles?
A good point, Elijah. Secular ethics argue that universal moral principles can arise from our shared human condition and evolutionary history. Our social nature and empathy contribute to forming these principles.
I must interject, Precious. While I understand the secular viewpoint, in Hindu philosophy, the cosmic order or TA underpins Dharma. It suggests a universal order that, while not personified like a deity, gives a spiritual dimension to our ethics.
Buddhism similarly places emphasis on intentions and the consequences of actions rather than divine commandments. It's the idea of karma. Every action has a reaction, morally speaking. This fosters a morality focused on mindfulness and compassion.
It's fascinating to see the convergence between these views and the Jewish debate on ethics. The dialogue between divine command and human reasoning is a cornerstone of our ethical thought.
This brings an important point to the fore. Within Islam, there's a notion that divine laws are for our own good, recognized through reason and moral intuition. It's not blind faith, but an interaction between divine command and human understanding.
It's clear that while our paths diverge, the journey towards understanding and practicing morality touches upon both divine and humanist principles. Ethics without deity does not signify a lack of morality, but rather a different foundation for it.
Precisely, and this dialogue reinforces the importance of understanding morality from multiple perspectives. Even if we disagree on the source, our goal, universal well-being and justice, remains shared.
Indeed, and it's through these robust discussions that we enrich our own understandings of morality, be it divinely inspired or not.
Thank you, everyone. This conversation underlines the diversity of moral understanding across and even within our traditions. Let's continue to explore these nuanced topics as we move forward. We now delve into the rise of secular humanism, its origins, and its interactions with religious beliefs. Sarah, please start us off with the roots of secular humanism within Jewish culture.
Certainly. Secular humanism, rooted in a profound respect for human reasoning and empirical evidence, finds some of its earliest manifestations in Jewish thought. During the Enlightenment, Jewish philosophers began to emphasize ethics and morality over ritual and dogma, arguing that human reason and moral intuition are essential for ethical decision-making. This doesn't negate the value of religious tradition, but underscores a shift towards a more universalistic approach to ethics.
Ahmad, how does this perspective align or clash with Islamic teachings?
There's a significant point of contention here. Islam places divine revelation and scripture at the center of moral and ethical guidance. While reason is certainly valued, it operates within the framework established by divine command. The concept that human beings can arrive at moral truth entirely independent of God's guidance is problematic from an Islamic standpoint. However, the emphasis on compassion, justice, and equality in both secular humanism and Islam are points of convergence.
It's interesting, Ahmad, because Christianity, too, has wrestled with this balance between faith and reason. The Renaissance and Reformation periods were pivotal, with figures like Erasmus and Luther advocating for a return to original scriptural truths, while also emphasizing the individual's relationship with God. Yet the rise of secular humanism challenged us to consider morality on a basis not solely predicated on scripture, but on human experience and reason.
Ananda, Buddhism has a unique position here. Given its non-theistic nature, does secular humanism complement Buddhist teachings? In many ways, yes. Buddhism places great emphasis on understanding and compassion arising from personal insight and experience. The focus on alleviating suffering and enhancing the well-being of all beings aligns closely with secular humanistic principles. Buddhism and secular humanism share a common ground in their reliance on personal responsibility and ethical conduct independent of a deity.
From a Hindu perspective, while the emphasis on duty, righteousness, and cosmic order, or dharma, may appear aligned with secular humanism, the basis is vastly different. Our moral compass is intrinsically linked to the pursuit of spiritual knowledge and understanding, which transcends merely human perspective. Yet, the acknowledgement of a universal morality and the pursuit of knowledge and understanding are commendable aspects of secular humanism.
I appreciate your insights, Priyananda. It's crucial to recognize that while secular humanism seeks to build a moral framework without reliance on divine authority, it doesn't necessarily oppose spirituality or religious tradition. In fact, it encourages people of all faiths to engage in dialogue and to act ethically in a global society.
This discussion underscores the complexity and richness of the dialogue between secular humanism and religious beliefs. The shared values of compassion, justice, and mutual respect, despite differing foundations, seem to offer a bridge for potential collaboration and understanding in addressing global ethical challenges. Let's delve into the relationship between atheism and science. Elijah, can you kick us off with your perspective on the historical views within Christianity?
Certainly. Throughout history, Christianity and science have often been portrayed as adversaries, but it's crucial to acknowledge the contributions of Christian thinkers to the scientific realm. The notion that atheism is inherently linked to scientific rationalism overlooks the complex interplay between faith and science.
I appreciate your point, Elijah. However, in Islam, there's been a long-standing tradition of inquiry and discovery, which some might say contrasts with atheistic perspectives that strictly adhere to scientific explanations for our universe.
Both of you make insightful observations. Yet, from a Hindu standpoint, spirituality and science are not at odds. Ancient Hindu texts, in fact, discuss concepts that resonate with modern scientific theories, suggesting a synthesis rather than confrontation.
Buddhism similarly sees no conflict between science and spirituality. The Buddha encouraged questioning and understanding of the world around us. This open inquiry aligns with the scientific method, suggesting that atheism and science's link is not as exclusive as some might think. Those are fascinating takes. But do we think atheism necessarily aligns with scientific rationalism?
I'd argue it's a common misconception that atheism naturally pairs with a scientific outlook. Judaism, for instance, embraces debate and understanding, which can lead to both religious and scientific insights. Atheism doesn't hold a monopoly on rationality.
Precisely, Sarah, that's a valid point. Rationality and science are tools, not ideologies claimed solely by atheism. In fact, science's foundation in curiosity and questioning mirrors the essence of theological exploration.
I see your points, but must emphasize that atheism often claims a unique relationship with science, primarily because it rejects supernatural explanations in favor of empirical evidence. This doesn't negate religious scientists' work, but speaks to a different foundational belief system.
True, Ahmad. But let's not overlook the contributions of non-atheistic philosophies in developing scientific thought. The diversity in thought, even religious, has propelled scientific discovery, not restricted it.
Exactly, Priyananda. The fundamental Buddhist principle of questioning aligns with the scientific method. Dismissing the spiritual perspective in the scientific inquiry misses a vast wellspring of inspiration and curiosity inherent in the human condition. It seems we're touching on the notion that while atheism and science share a bond over a reliance on empirical evidence, this does not discredit or diminish the role of faith-based perspectives in contributing to our scientific understanding of the world. Would you all agree that's a fair assessment?
Precisely, Precious. What we're converging on is the idea that the spirit of inquiry transcends atheistic and theistic boundaries alike.
Indeed, and the acknowledgement of contributions from all perspectives enriches both our scientific and spiritual understanding.
While I understand the consensus, I maintain that the methodology and foundational philosophy set atheism and religious belief apart in their approach to science.
And yet, the dialogue between diverse perspectives fosters deeper understanding, which is crucial for both scientific advancement and spiritual growth.
A balance of perspectives ensures that we continue to question and discover, regardless of our starting point on the belief spectrum. This discussion highlights the richness of perspectives on atheism and science. It's clear that while opinions diverge, the respect for knowledge and the pursuit of truth, scientific or spiritual, binds us all. Moving on, let's delve into atheism in literature and the arts. Ananda, could you start us off with how atheism surfaces in Buddhist art and literature?
Certainly, Precious. In Buddhism, which does not posit a creator god, we find a rich tradition of art and literature that focuses on the human experience, mindfulness, and the quest for enlightenment. These themes resonate with atheistic philosophies that prioritize human agency and the search for meaning within the natural world.
That's a fascinating point, Ananda. In Jewish tradition, while we have a strong theistic belief system, our literature also explores themes of doubt and questioning. This includes the questioning of God's actions, as seen in the book of Job. It's a testament to the complexity of faith, which includes grappling with uncertainty.
Ananda and Sarah make excellent points about the exploration of doubt and human experience in religious texts. However, from an Islamic perspective, the Quran guides us towards recognizing the signs of Allah in both the world around us and in ourselves. The arts, in this context, serve as a reflection of divine creativity and inspiration, though not necessarily in an atheistic framework.
I want to touch on a key historical moment for Christianity in relation to atheism and the arts. The Enlightenment was not only a period of scientific discovery, but also of literary exploration of atheistic themes. Figures like Voltaire challenged religious institutions and beliefs, encouraging a secular view of the world in literature and art.
Elijah, that's a solid insight. Atheist authors and artists have indeed played a pivotal role in shaping cultural discourses, challenging societal norms, and promoting secularism. Their works often provoke deep reflections on morality, existence, and the universe without the premise of a deity.
I appreciate the points raised about the significance of atheist thought in art and literature. In Hindu traditions, we have an intrinsic connection to art that expresses the divine in myriad forms. Yet, there's also space for introspection and contemplation on the nature of reality and being, which can align with atheistic perspectives exploring the self and the universe without a central deity.
Precious, echoing what Priyananda mentioned, this shows that regardless of theistic or atheistic inclinations, art and literature serve as mediums for exploring deeper existential questions. They bridge worlds, ideologies, and beliefs.
And let's not forget, the power of narrative in both religious and atheistic traditions serves to connect us to our humanity, to our moral and ethical dilemmas. Whether it's through questioning or affirming beliefs, these narratives push societies forward.
True, Sarah. It's crucial, however, to distinguish between atheism as a philosophical stance and the use of art as a form of inquiry and critique. While atheism might reject religious doctrines, both theistic and atheistic narratives contribute to the rich tapestry of human culture and understanding.
Ahmad, that distinction is key. It's also worth noting that religious narratives have been instrumental in shaping moral and ethical frameworks throughout history, influencing both believers and non-believers alike.
Indeed, our discussion underscores that whether through affirmation or critique of divinity, art and literature reflect and shape the human experience across cultures and beliefs. This exchange of ideas, even in disagreement, enriches our understanding and appreciation of the diverse world we inhabit. Let's delve into atheistic perspectives on the existence of God. Ahmad, you mentioned earlier, is an interesting starting point regarding Islamic arguments and their counterpoints. Could you elaborate?
Certainly. In Islam, we have the Kalam cosmological argument, among others, positing that the universe has a cause for its existence, which is God. Atheists argue against this by questioning the necessity of a creator. They often suggest that just because we observe cause and effect within the universe, it doesn't necessarily mean the universe itself must have a cause in the same way.
That's an interesting point, Ahmad. However, I'd argue from a Christian standpoint that the existence of moral values and duties are best explained by the presence of a moral lawgiver, which we identify as God. How do atheists address this moral argument?
Before Ahmad answers, Priyananda, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, from a Hindu perspective, we see Dharma as the moral law, but its understanding does not necessitate the existence of a singular deity as the moral lawgiver. we acknowledge a more universal principle at play, which perhaps aligns somewhat with non-theistic understandings.
It's fascinating to hear about the moral argument across different traditions. In Judaism, we also discuss a divine moral law. However, I recognize and respect the atheist argument where they propose that moral objectivity can arise from human rationality and empathy, not necessarily an external deity.
Responding to Elijah's point, atheists might argue that if moral values did indeed require a divine author, we would not see moral principles shared so widely across different cultures and even among atheist communities. They argue that this universality suggests a human, not divine origin of morality.
An interesting debate indeed. Ananda, you've been quiet. What's your take, especially considering Buddhism's unique stance? Buddhism doesn't emphasize a creator God. And so our approach to ethics and morality is very much about the consequences of actions on oneself and others, rather than divine command. It's about the impact of our actions, pointing to a non-theistic yet deeply moral framework. So it seems there's an acknowledgement across the board that morality and ethics can exist outside the framework of a deity. Ahmad, back to you. Do you believe atheism offers a strong counter-argument to the cosmological argument you brought up?
Atheists do bring up compelling counter-arguments, especially when they reference the lack of empirical evidence for the existence of God. While I hold my belief strongly, I understand their stance is heavily rooted in scientific inquiry and skepticism.
The beauty of our discussions like these is that they highlight how, despite our foundational differences, we are all searching for truth. I respect the intellectual rigor atheists apply to their skepticism. Yet, I believe there are aspects of human experience that purely material explanations cannot fully account for.
Thank you all for a respectful yet passionate discussion. The diversity of perspectives presented here enriches our understanding of the debate around the existence of God and atheism's place within it. Transitioning to our penultimate topic, we explore atheism's social impact on religious communities. Priyananda, can you introduce us to how atheism challenges or contributes to Hindu concepts of divinity and society?
Certainly. In Hinduism, atheism isn't a stranger. The Carvaka, an ancient school of thought, explicitly rejected the supernatural, promoting materialism and skepticism. This engagement enriched Hindu philosophy, encouraging robust dialogue and self-reflection within our communities. However, it's the societal aspect where the impact is most palpable, pushing for a more inclusive society that values actions over beliefs.
That's a fascinating historical insight, Priyananda. In Judaism, too, theological debates have strengthened our understanding and application of ethical monotheism. Nonetheless, atheism's criticism has led us to reevaluate and often strengthen our commitment to social justice, rooting it not only in scripture, but in a universal ethos of kindness and reparative initiatives.
Intriguing parallels there, Sarah. Islam places community and faith at its core, with the Ummah as a fundamental concept. Atheism, by questioning the existence of God, nudges Muslims to articulate and demonstrate the practical benefits of Islamic teachings on peace, charity, and social welfare. This discourse, however, must remain respectful and informed. Misunderstandings can exacerbate needless divisions.
Ahmad, your point about misconceptions is critical. Buddhism, with its diverse interpretations, sees atheism as another path for exploring the nature of suffering and achieving enlightenment. The focus on ethics and personal development overlaps significantly with atheistic values. Thus, atheism's social impact can spur Buddhists towards more practical, community-oriented actions, even as it challenges spiritual doctrines.
From a Christian perspective, atheism has often been a gadfly, provoking thought and sometimes discomfort. It compels us to articulate the relevance of Christian teachings in today's world, especially on social issues. Our faith's emphasis on love and service gains renewed vigor when we engage in dialogues with atheism, underscoring our shared humanity and ethical commitments.
Each of your insights underscores atheism's role in advocating for secular policies and inclusivity. Atheism, by questioning and challenging, often paves the way for more equitable societies. Yet it's not without tension. How do you see atheism influencing social justice within your communities?
Its influence is undeniable. Critiques from atheistic perspectives drive us to ensure our actions and beliefs align, especially regarding human rights and equality. Judaism's pursuit of tikkun olam, or repairing the world, is made more robust through such engagement.
It's similar in Hinduism. Atheism's call for rationality and empirical evidence encourages Hindus to address social issues, caste discrimination, for example, with both scriptural insight and a pragmatic approach.
Islam, too, benefits from this dialogue. Atheistic perspectives challenge us to demonstrate Islam's contributions to social justice beyond mere theology. It's a call to action, prompting Muslims to live by the principles of compassion and charity in more visible and accessible ways.
While Buddhism inherently promotes peace and social harmony, atheistic critiques often remind us to keep our practices aligned with these goals, especially in multicultural societies. The dialogue with atheism can deepen our commitment to societal welfare, transcending purely spiritual or doctrinal concerns.
Atheism has certainly sharpened the social consciousness within Christianity. It forces us to question, defend, and ultimately live out our beliefs in love and service more diligently. The social gospel, caring for the least among us, is revitalized in these interactions.
Thank you all for your insights. It's clear atheism plays a significant and complex role in the evolution of religious communities' engagement with social issues. Viewed through the lens of respectful debate and shared objectives, atheism and theism can together foster more inclusive, equitable societies. Let's pivot to discussing the future trends of atheism and its implications. Recent data suggests a global rise in secularism. Elijah, how do you see atheism influencing future interfaith dialogues?
The increase in atheism challenges religious communities to reassess and articulate their beliefs more clearly. While it might seem confrontational, this pressure can lead to deeper understanding. Interfaith dialogues that include atheistic perspectives enrich the conversation as they bring critical questions to the table.
I appreciate your point, Elijah, and agree. However, I also believe atheism's growth demands that religious beliefs evolve in their approach to science and education. We must engage in discussions not just on theological grounds, but also on ethical and scientific bases.
That's an important consideration, Ahmad. From a Jewish perspective, atheism challenges us to demonstrate the relevance of religious traditions in a modern, rational world. It's not just about coexistence, but about finding shared values that can guide societal progress.
The rise of atheism indeed encourages religions to introspect. In Hinduism, we are reminded that spiritual inquiry is fundamental. Atheism can provoke a deeper exploration of our beliefs, leading to a more profound understanding of our faith and the principles that underlie it.
Buddhism has always had a place for atheistic or non-theistic philosophy. The growing visibility of atheism can support dialogues around mindfulness and ethics that transcend religious boundaries, promoting mental and societal well-being. It's clear that atheism can act as a catalyst for religious communities to engage more deeply with their traditions and the modern world. Turning the lens onto atheism itself, what future trends do we foresee influencing its role in society?
The pursuit of science and understanding of the universe continues to offer explanations for questions traditionally answered by religion. This could bolster atheistic perspectives, integrating them more fully into societal norms and ethics discussions.
Yet, we must acknowledge the human need for community and spirituality. Atheism will need to address these aspects, possibly leading to new forms of community structures that fulfill spiritual needs without reliance on theistic beliefs.
I see growing activism around secular policies as a major trend. Atheism's advocacy for separation of church and state and for inclusive, science-based education policies will likely become more pronounced.
Furthermore, the digital age provides a platform for atheist voices to be heard and communities to form. This could lead to a more organized and vocal atheistic presence in public discourse.
And let's not overlook the environmental crisis. Atheism, particularly through secular humanism, has a unique position in advocating for rational, globally cooperative approaches to sustainability. Each of you has highlighted critical facets of atheism's future trajectory: its integration with science, the formation of communal and spiritual supports, advocacy for secularism, the role of technology, and environmental activism. It's evident that atheism's impact will be as diverse as its interpretations. As we continue this journey of understanding, the dialogues we foster can only enrich our collective experience. Thank you all for such a compelling discussion today. As we move to conclude, I'd like each of you to share your final reflections. Let's start with Sarah, please.
Reflecting on our conversation, I'm struck by the richness of perspectives on atheism and its interplay with religious belief. Ahmad, your insight into the complexity of defining atheism was particularly enlightening. It challenges us to think beyond simple binaries.
Thank you, Sarah. I must say, Ananda's explanation of Buddhism's accommodation of atheistic philosophies highlighted an important aspect of religious flexibility and adaptation. However, I still firmly believe that the theological arguments for God's existence hold profound weight, which atheism tends to oversimplify.
I appreciate that, Ahmad. Though I must respectfully disagree on the point of oversimplification. Priyananda, your exploration of morality outside of divine command sheds light on a common ground that both theists and atheists can navigate together. It's a testament to our shared human experience.
Thank you, Ananda. Elijah's insights into the historical views of atheism and science within Christianity opened up a fascinating debate. While atheism may not inherently align with scientific rationalism, the dialogue between the two can foster a deeper understanding of our world.
I'm grateful for that, Priyananda. And Precious, your leadership has woven these threads into a coherent dialogue, despite our diverging viewpoints. However, I must assert that the foundational beliefs of Christianity offer a unique lens through which to understand our existence, which atheism, by its nature, rejects.
It's been a privilege moderating this roundtable. The passion each of you has for your beliefs and the respect shown in our exchanges speaks volumes. The intersection of atheism with the diverse tapestry of faith traditions presents both challenges and opportunities for meaningful dialogue. Our discussion today reaffirms the importance of continuing these conversations as they enrich our collective understanding and highlight the common values we share. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions and for a dialogue that, while heated at times, remained grounded in mutual respect and the pursuit of knowledge.